Stepdaughter told me to keep my voice down because this isn't my home. So I handed the home to her mother and walked out with the keys to everything they depended on. Hello everyone, welcome to Reddit Visuals. I used to think the worst kind of cruelty was being abandoned. Turns out some people will stay under your roof and slowly convince you it isn't yours. I'm Jake. I'm 48 years old. And for most of my adult life, I thought I was the steady guy. Not flashy, not the loudest in the room, not the guy with the sports car and designer watch. I'm the guy who shows up, pays on time, and fixes things. Other people don't even notice, are broken. I bought my house when I was 30. 3-bedroom, older place in a quiet neighborhood outside Portland, nothing fancy. But the kind of house where you can stand in the doorway and actually imagine a life happening inside it. Birthday candles, muddy shoes in the hallway, school projects on the kitchen table. I spent 5 years renovating it myself. New floors, refinished cabinets, repainted every room, and rebuilt the back deck. That house was my pride and proof that I could build something from the ground up. Then I met Rachel. She was 38 when we started dating, a nurse working night shifts at the hospital, funny in this dry, sideways way that made you feel like you were in on a private joke. She had a daughter, Ava, who was 13 at the time. Ava was all sharp eyeliner and headphones, that carefully constructed teenage disinterest. The first time I met her, she nodded at me over a bowl of cereal and went back to scrolling her phone. Rachel rolled her eyes and mouthed, "Sorry." I laughed it off. I remember thinking, I can win this kid over. I'm patient. I've got time. For a while, things were good in that tentative, blending lives kind of way. Rachel would stay over more nights than not. Ava would drift in and out of the living room, pretending not to listen to our conversations and then randomly chiming in with weirdly sharp observations. There were movie nights where she'd sit at the other end of the couch but still be there. I took that as progress. After about 2 years of dating, it just made sense for them to move in. Rachel's apartment lease was ending. My house had the space. And honestly, I was excited. I'd spent 15 years in that place alone. I was ready for noise, for clutter, for family. We had a talk about money and logistics. I made it clear I wasn't trying to replace Ava's dad. She had a father, Michael, the biological dad, somewhere floating in and out of their lives when it was convenient. I just wanted to be a stable adult who cared. Rachel offered to split the bills, and I said yes at first, but that's not how it played out. It started small. "Hey, can you cover groceries this week? I'm short after the car repair. Can we push my half of the utilities to next month? I had to buy school supplies for Ava. I make decent money as a construction project manager. I wasn't hurting, and honestly, it felt good to help." Then next month turned into, "I'll catch up when I get my bonus," which turned into, I'd pay more if I could. Somewhere in there, your house became our home in conversation, and it felt nice, so I let it slide. I paid the mortgage, still had 18 years left on it, the utilities, the streaming services, and most of the groceries Rachel contributed when she could, and I told myself, that's what partners do. The problem wasn't the money. The problem was the shift. At first, Ava was just distant. Then distant turned into dismissive. Little comments, "It's not like you know what it's like to have a real family." "Mom, why do you ask him about everything? It's just money." The first time she called me by my first name instead of some version of acknowledgement, it was because she wanted my Netflix password. Somewhere around year 3, Michael decided to make an appearance. He'd breeze in with last-minute texts. Taking Ava to dinner, tell her to be ready, like we were his personal assistant service. He never once asked if we had plans. He'd show up in his shiny truck wearing cologne that hit you from the driveway, and Ava would light up like Christmas morning. She'd come back late with shopping bags and inside jokes I wasn't part of. "He's trying," Rachel would say. "He missed a lot. He feels guilty." I didn't argue. I'd just wipe down the kitchen counters, double-check the door locks, and tell myself that love isn't a competition. But you can't compete in a game where you're the only one following the rules. The first real crack showed up during COVID. Rachel picked up extra shifts at the hospital because they were desperate for staff, and suddenly, I was the default adult at home. I helped Ava with online classes, made sure there was lunch, and fixed the internet when it crashed 5 minutes before her exam. I sat in the hallway outside her room while she cried quietly after a fight with a friend. That was the one time she let herself lean on me. Her door cracked open at 11 p.m. and she whispered, "Do you think people actually stay?" I said, "The good ones do." She nodded like she wanted to believe me, then wiped her face and said, "Okay. Good night, Jake." Not Dad, not even stepdad, but it felt like something. That something evaporated the minute the world opened back up and Michael reappeared with a new motorcycle and Instagram stories from Cancun. I watched from the porch as she hugged him like he'd parted the Red Sea, and I kept my face neutral. I started noticing the small ways my space was being rewritten without me. My old framed photos, me and my brother fishing, my parents in front of the house the year I bought it, quietly migrated from the living room to a cardboard box in the garage, replaced by gallery walls of Rachel and Ava, vacations I wasn't on, and school events from before I even knew them. The house smelled more like their candles, their shampoo, their takeout containers I didn't mind at first. It felt like proof they were settling in. But then lines started blurring in uglier ways. One Saturday I came home to find Ava hosting 5 of her friends. Music loud, shoes piled at the door, empty soda cans on my coffee table. "Hey," I said, trying to stay friendly. "Did you ask your mom if it's okay to have people over?" Ava barely glanced up. "She's at work, it's fine. We live here." "Right," I said. "I just wish someone had given me a heads up. It's my house too, you know." She rolled her eyes and muttered something I chose not to catch. I told myself, pick your battles. That became my mantra. When my tools went missing from the garage and turned up in the backyard because Ava's boyfriend tried to fix her bike, I picked my battle and let it go. When she borrowed my debit card just for Starbucks and charges showed up from Sephora, I called the bank and locked the card, then got called controlling for it. When I suggested a basic house rule, no overnight guests without both adults agreeing, Michael told Ava I was trying to play dad, and she repeated it loud enough for me to hear. Still, I stayed. I told myself people say stupid things when they're young and hurting. I told myself Rachel would back me up. She didn't. She always chose peace in the moment over boundaries that might save us in the long run. "She's a teenager," she'd say. "She doesn't mean it." If she doesn't mean it, why does she keep saying it? I asked once. Rachel just looked tired and changed the subject. The night that changed everything wasn't dramatic at first. No screaming, no broken plates, just a Tuesday. I came home later than usual from a site inspection. My neck hurt, my eyes burned, and all I wanted was a quiet dinner. As I walked up the driveway, I could hear laughter inside. Music. That slightly too loud teenage shriek when someone shows a meme. I stepped inside and froze. My living room looked like a TikTok studio. Fairy lights strung across my framed prints. My coffee table was pushed aside to make room for a ring light. Ava and 4 of her friends sprawled on my rug filming a dance. Someone had spilled something red on the hardwood I'd refinished myself. One girl was sitting on the arm of my old armchair, the one piece of furniture that had survived from my bachelor days. My keys hit the entry table louder than usual. "Hey," I said, taking in the mess. "What's going on here?" Ava barely turned her head. "We're filming. Can you not?" One of her friends giggled. "Hi, Mr. Jake," she sing-songed, like I was the weird uncle wandering into their playroom. I took a breath. "Okay, well, it's almost 9. I've had a long day. Can you wrap it up in the next half hour?" Ava huffed. "We just started. Why do you always come home and kill the vibe?" "Because this is my house," I said, keeping my voice steady. "And I'm asking for some basic respect." That word, respect, landed like a grenade. Ava stood up, cheeks flushed. "Here we go," she muttered. "The speech." The girls went quiet, sensing drama. I swallowed my irritation. "Look," I said, "I'm not asking you to stop living your life. I'm asking to be informed, and I don't want drinks on the floor I just refinished." One of the girls whispered, "Yikes," under her breath. Ava glared at me like I'd kicked her puppy. "Can you keep your voice down?" she snapped. "Why?" I asked. "Because this isn't your home," she said, each word deliberate and sharp. "It's ours. You're just here. You don't get to dictate everything." The room went silent. Even the Spotify playlist seemed to stop. There's a special kind of cold that hits you when someone says something that doesn't just hurt. It rewrites the entire history you thought you had with them. I felt that cold crawl up my spine. My first instinct was to yell, to list every bill I'd paid, every late-night drive to pick her up, every compromise I'd made watching my own life shrink to make room for hers. But something in the way her friends looked at me, half uncomfortable, half entertained, stopped me. I heard my own voice in my head. Pick your battles. And then another voice, quieter but sharper. You've been picking the wrong ones. I stared at Ava. You're right, I said finally. I need to fix that. She rolled her eyes. Whatever. She turned back to her friends. Guys, sorry. Let's just go upstairs. My room is at least mine. They gathered their things and stomped past me. One girl brushed my shoulder without apology. I watched them go, my heart pounding, but not from anger anymore, from clarity. When the house went quiet again, I walked into the kitchen and leaned on the counter I'd installed with my own hands. The words replayed in my head, "This isn't your home, just here." I looked around, at the fridge covered in school photos I'd paid to print, at the entry bench I'd built so they'd have somewhere to toss their backpacks, at the stack of Amazon packages on the table, all with their names, all paid for with my card. Not my home, just a place I was in. I pulled out my phone and called my brother. "Hey," he said. "You okay? You sound weird." "Promise you won't tell me I'm overreacting," I said. "No promises," he replied. I told him what Ava said. He went quiet for a long moment. "So, what are you going to do?" "I don't know," I said. "But I think I've been making it very easy for them to forget whose house this is. And maybe that stops now." The plan didn't come all at once. It built slowly, like my renovations, one measured step at a time. I didn't blow up. I didn't pack my bags that night. I did something quieter and, honestly, more terrifying. The next morning I called my lawyer. We'd worked together years ago when I set up my will. He answered on the second ring. "Jake, long time, everything okay?" "Define okay," I said. We met that week. I laid it all out, the house deed in my name, my accounts, the fact that Rachel and I weren't married, that Ava was turning 18 in 6 months and heading to college, that I loved them both and also felt like a walking ATM whose feelings were optional. "You've been generous to a fault," he said. "You've been protecting them at your own expense." "I don't want to throw them out," I said quickly. "I'm not that guy. But I also can't keep living in a place where I'm told I don't belong." He nodded. "So don't throw them out. Give them the house." I blinked. "That's the opposite of—" "Listen," he said. "Right now, you hold all the power legally, but none of it emotionally. You pay for everything. You own everything. But they act like it's theirs. You want out without being the villain? Make the legal reality match the story they're already telling themselves. Transfer the deed to Rachel with the mortgage. Then leave." The idea settled in my brain and wouldn't let go. Give them exactly what they claimed to already have, but take back everything else. We drew up the paperwork, a quitclaim deed transferring ownership from me to Rachel, including the remaining mortgage debt. She'd be responsible for property taxes, insurance, maintenance, and the monthly mortgage payment of $1,800. No claim on my retirement accounts, no spousal support, we'd never married. Clean break. A gift and an ending wrapped in one document. Over the next month, I quietly rearranged my life. I opened a new bank account at a different institution and had my paycheck rerouted. I canceled the secondary cards on my credit accounts. I moved my tools, my sentimental items, and my personal belongings to a storage unit in 3 separate trips, telling Rachel I was reorganizing the garage. I toured a small 2-bedroom apartment near my office and put down a deposit, all without raising my voice once. Meanwhile, life at home continued like normal. Ava walked around with headphones in, occasionally slamming a door when Michael inevitably disappointed her in some new, creative way. Rachel kept insisting things were just tense because Ava's almost out of the house. One night, about 3 weeks before I was ready to leave, I sat down with Rachel after Ava had gone to bed. The TV cast blue light across her tired face. "Can we talk?" I asked. If this is about the TikTok thing, I already told her. It's not just about that, I said. It's about everything. She sighed and muted the TV. Okay, go. I told her how I felt. Not just about the "this isn't your home" line, but about the slow erosion of respect. About the way my contributions had become invisible. Expected about how much it hurt to be treated like a convenience, not a person. She listened. I'll give her that. But when I finished, she rubbed her temples and said, "She's a kid, Jake. You're the adult. You can't take what she says so personally." "She's 17, I said quietly. "Old enough to drive a car I pay for and tell me to keep my voice down in the house I bought." "You know she doesn't mean it," Rachel said. "She's just angry. Her dad." "This isn't about her dad," I said, my voice harder than I intended. "This is about you, about the fact that you let her talk to me that way and then ask me for money 5 minutes later." Rachel's face hardened. "So what? You're keeping score now?" "No," I said. "I'm finally looking at the scoreboard I've been ignoring for 6 years." She shook her head. "If you're going to turn this into some power struggle over a house, I don't know what to tell you." I looked at her for a long time. "It's not about the house," I said. "It's about who gets to exist inside it as a human being." She didn't respond. She unmuted the TV. That was my answer. 2 weeks later, on a Saturday morning, I made pancakes. It sounds ridiculous, but I wanted the morning to feel normal before I changed everything. Ava wandered in late, hair a mess, scrolling her phone. "Syrup's on the counter," I said, sliding a plate toward her. "Cool," she muttered. Rachel joined us, still in scrubs from a night shift. "You're in a weirdly good mood," she said. "What's up?" "Have a seat," I said. "Both of you, we need to talk." Ava groaned. "Is this a family meeting? I have plans." "Yeah," I said. "So do I." I set a folder on the table. Inside were the deed transfer documents, property tax statements, insurance information, and mortgage payment schedule. My lawyer had made everything clear and professional. Rachel opened the folder. Her face went from curiosity to confusion to something like shock. "What is this?" "It's the deed to the house," I said calmly. "I'm transferring ownership to you. The house is yours now. Legally." The room went so quiet I could hear the refrigerator humming 2 rooms away. Ava looked up from her phone. "Wait, what? What are you talking about?" Rachel's voice was thin. "Jake, why would you... What is this?" "It's what you've both been acting like is true anyway," I said. "That this is your home and I'm just here. So now it is. Legally, the house is yours. So is the mortgage, $1,800 a month, due on the 1st. Property taxes are $4,200 annually, paid in 2 installments. Insurance runs about $1,900 a year. It's all documented in there." "You can't be serious," Rachel whispered. "The title company recorded it yesterday," I said. "It's done." Ava scoffed. "Okay, but why are you being so dramatic? You live here too." I looked at her. Really looked. "No," I said. "I did live here. I don't anymore." Her eyes widened. "What?" "I signed a lease on an apartment across town," I said. "I moved my things last week while you were at school and Rachel was at work. I left enough furniture that you're not sitting on the floor, but everything that's mine is gone." Rachel pushed back her chair, the legs scraping loudly. "What do you mean you don't live here anymore?" "I mean exactly that," I said. "I'm leaving. Today. Right after this conversation." Rachel laughed, a brittle, disbelieving sound. "This is insane. You're punishing us. Over what, a teenager mouthing off?" "This isn't about one comment," I said quietly. "It's about 6 years of being treated like a guest in a house I bought, like a wallet with a pulse. You both made it clear where I stand, so I'm accepting that and moving forward." I pulled my key ring from my pocket and began removing keys one by one, setting them on the table. "Front door, back door, garage, shed. These go to the cars. They're both titled in my name. I'm keeping the truck. You'll need to arrange your own transportation within 30 days or I'm selling the SUV." Ava's face twisted. "You can't just take my car. That's my car." "It's not," I said. "I bought it. I insured it. I let you drive it. That arrangement is over." "You're insane," she snapped. "You can't just walk out. We need you." "You needed me when I was quiet and paid for everything," I said. "You made it very clear you didn't need me as a person." Rachel slammed her hand on the table. "You're throwing away 6 years because your ego is bruised?" I felt something in me finally break, not into anger, but into absolute clarity. "I am not throwing anything away," I said. "I'm giving you a house, a whole house, paid down, well-maintained, in a good neighborhood. I'm giving you the stability I spent my 30s building. I'm just taking myself, my money, and my dignity to a place where I'm not told to keep my voice down in my own living room." Ava's eyes filled with tears, the first real emotion I'd seen from her in months that wasn't irritation. "So you're just abandoning us?" she choked out. The word hit hard. I thought of her question during lockdown. "Do you think people actually stay?" "No," I said softly. "I stayed for 6 years. I stayed when your dad left again and again. I stayed when it was inconvenient and lonely and humiliating. I'm not abandoning you. I'm accepting that you don't want me here." She shook her head but said nothing. Rachel looked at the deed like it might burn her. "What are we supposed to do?" she whispered. "Figure it out," I said. "The same way I did before I met you. You're a nurse. You're capable. You've got a house now. You'll manage. Or you'll sell it and downsize. Those are your choices as the homeowner." "We can't afford this without you," she said, anger finally breaking through. "Then something has to change," I said. "Get a roommate. Pick up extra shifts. Refinance. Cut expenses. Those are decisions you get to make now." I stood up. My brother was waiting outside in his truck like we'd planned. "Jake, don't do this," Rachel said, her voice cracking. "We're a family." I smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Family doesn't tell you you're a guest in the house you built," I said. "Family doesn't only remember your name when the bills come due." I picked up my work bag from where I'd left it by the door. "One more thing," I said. "I transferred the utilities into your name yesterday. You'll get the first bills next month. Internet, water, electric, gas, it's all on you now." Ava stared at me like I'd slapped her. Maybe in her world that was the cruelest cut. I walked to the door. Behind me I heard the chair scrape. "Jake!" Ava's voice cracked. I turned. Her face was blotchy, eyes red. For the first time in years, she sounded like the scared kid from lockdown. "Are you really not coming back?" she asked. There was a time I would have rushed to reassure her. Promised that no matter what, I'd always be there. That's what good men do, right? They stay. They endure. They swallow disrespect in the name of stability. "I'm not coming back to live here," I said. "If you ever want to talk to me like I'm a person, not a paycheck or a placeholder, you have my number. But I'm not going to stand in a house where I'm not allowed to use my own voice." She flinched, hearing her own words reflected back. I didn't enjoy it. I just needed her to see the echo. I walked out. My brother pulled away from the curb. I didn't look back. The first night in my apartment, I sat on the floor because my couch hadn't been delivered yet. It was quiet in a way that the house hadn't been in 6 years. No footsteps overhead, no muffled arguments, no doors slamming, just the hum of my refrigerator and the distant sound of someone's TV down the hall. I waited for the crushing guilt to hit, for the panic, for the instinct to drive back and apologize for finally choosing myself. It didn't come. What came instead was grief, not for the house, for the life I thought I was building inside it. I cried, full body, heaving sobs. I cried for the years I'd spent trying to prove I was safe, steady, dependable, only to be told I was temporary. I cried for the version of Ava who asked if people actually stay, and for the version of me who answered yes without realizing I was signing a contract no one else wanted to honor. The next morning, I woke up to 47 missed messages. "Rachel, we need to talk. You've made your point. I can't do this alone." Ava, a long paragraph starting with "I didn't mean it," and ending with "You're being petty. Michael somehow heard you bailed. Real mature, man." I turned off my phone. Over the next few weeks, the practical reality set in for them. Rachel called asking how to adjust the thermostat schedule. Then, where the breaker panel was. Then, if I'd reconsider, just helping with the mortgage for a few months until they figured things out. I can't do that, I said. I gave you the house. That was the deal. You wanted it to be yours. Now it is. You didn't have to be cruel about it, she said. Transferring a house to you isn't cruel, I said, exhausted. I could have sold it out from under you. I could have evicted you. I didn't. I gave you an asset worth $300,000. The fact that it comes with responsibility isn't cruelty, it's ownership. She hung up. Months passed. My brother would occasionally update me, how they'd gotten a roommate to help with costs, one of Rachel's coworker friends, who needed a place after a divorce. How Michael had promised to step up with support and then disappeared again when Ava turned 18 and child support officially ended. How Ava had posted something vague on social media about fake father figures and gotten roasted in the comments when someone pointed out she'd been living rent-free for 6 years in someone else's house. I didn't gloat. Maybe a small part of me felt vindicated, but mostly I just felt tired. Tired of carrying weight that was never acknowledged. 8 months after I left, an email came through from an address I didn't recognize. Subject line: I'm sorry. It was Ava. She didn't ask for money. She didn't ask me to come back. She didn't even ask for the car. She wrote that she'd moved into a dorm at community college, that she was working part-time at a campus bookstore, that the house felt too big and too quiet now. She admitted the line, "This isn't your home," hadn't been spontaneous. She'd said it to impress a friend who'd joked that I acted like I owned the place. She wanted to look powerful in front of people who didn't know the history. "I didn't think you'd actually leave," she wrote. "I thought you'd just get mad, maybe yell, then go back to normal. I thought you were like the walls and the appliances just there. I didn't ask if you were okay being our foundation. I just assumed you were. I'm sorry." I read it 3 times. Some people will say, this is the moment I should have driven back, wrapped everything up in a neat redemption arc. But real life isn't a movie. It's a series of choices about what you're willing to carry and what you finally put down. I wrote back. I told her I appreciated the apology, that I believed she could be better than the example she'd been given, that I was open to rebuilding a relationship as 2 adults, not as a father figure she resented and a wallet she took for granted. I didn't move back. I didn't take over their bills. I didn't restart anything. But I meet her for coffee sometimes now. She pays for her own. We talk about her classes, her plans, and the books she's reading. Once she asked, "Do you ever miss the house?" I thought about the empty rooms, the slammed doors, the way my footsteps had sounded hesitant in my own hallway by the end. "Sometimes," I said, "but I miss the man I was before I started shrinking to fit someone else's story. And I'm trying to build something for him now." She nodded like she understood. Maybe she did. Rachel and I exchange occasional texts. No heart-to-hearts, just logistics. Forwarded mail. The house is hers. My voice is mine again. So that's the story. My stepdaughter told me to keep my voice down because this isn't my home. So I handed the home to her mother, walked out with the keys to everything they depended on, and started rebuilding my life somewhere I'm not a ghost. Now, I want to know what you think. Was I wrong for what I did? For walking away and letting them face the reality they'd been pretending existed all along? Should I have stayed and swallowed the disrespect for the sake of keeping a family together? Or was I finally right to choose myself after 6 years of being treated like furniture? Let me know in the comments what you would have done. And if this story made you think, or feel, or remember your own situation, hit that like button and subscribe to Reddit Visuals. It helps us keep bringing you stories like this one.